Average Woodsman here, back with another video. So today I'm going to go over the minimalist 3-item concept. It's not, something that I necessarily would strive to live by, like a philosophy, but it is kind of a fun concept to have, especially if you were ever caught in a situation where you could only have, or you only had 3 items with you. This concept kind of comes from, once again, that minimalist mindset of carrying, less is more, which is not always true. But if you're going, ultralight, if you don't want to or don't need to carry a lot of gear with you, this is actually, a good concept to kind of gauge your gear on and go by. So if you personally, and I'm going to send this out as kind of a call to action, if you guys personally out there could only carry or only choose 3 items, what would those items choose? So put those down in the description. Let's go ahead and get in the video, and I'll show you guys what I have here, give you guys some ideas, go over the concept a little bit more, and then we'll close out the video. Alright, so in this video I want to break down 3 items that you should carry with you, not only as a minimalistic kit, but also items that you should have with you, especially if you're going out into the woods and you plan on only being out there for a short period of time. So these items, obviously, we're not talking about long-term survival. We're not talking about, wilderness living. I'm talking about emergency items that you can carry with you that could save your life. Also, your items are going to be based on your specific environment. So, whether you live like I do here in the southeastern part of the United States in Central Florida, it does not get cold here. It is hot 8 months out of the year or so. It's very humid. It's very subtropical. If you live up north in a boreal forest environment, or you live out west in a desert, maybe in the high desert, you're going to want to have, or you may carry, different items. So basically, I just want you to understand that your items in a minimalistic kit, especially when you're only carrying 3, are going to depend on your geographical location. Also, when you're relegated to having just a few items, they need to be versatile, and you need to have the knowledge. So knowledge and adaptability trump gear in every situation. Think about it like this. You don't want to be in advanced calculus if you don't understand arithmetic. So putting in the dirt time, understanding your items, understanding how to use a knife correctly, how to start a fire, how to build shelter. These are important skills to know before you end up in a survival situation, because you do not want to have to learn on the fly when your life is at risk. I think the first and most important tool that you should always have on you, if I could only have one tool, it would be a knife. While we are on the knife topic, like cutting tools, that's why the reason why I would choose a knife as my main cutting tool is its versatility. Things that I personally look for in a knife. Obviously, it doesn't have to be full tang, but full tang is preferred. You do need, if it's going to be your only cutting tool, you do need it to be a fixed blade knife. But full tang is important. It's not the only criteria, but it is an important criteria. A 9-degree spine is really important. A 90-degree spine is not just for striking a ferro rod. You can do a lot of things with a 90-degree spine on your knife, like shaving down, like a spoke shave to shave down fine tender. There's a million things that you can do with a 90-degree spine. I like a Scandi grind, but the grind is really important. The steel, for me, is not the most important part, but I prefer, generally speaking, carbon steels. I like carbon steels. It doesn't have to be carbon steel, it could be stainless, but just to having a good 9-degree spine is more important, and the grind is really important. Also, comfortable handle. Those are all things that I look for when I'm talking about a knife. The reason why having a carbon steel knife over something like stainless, if this is your only cutting tool, is because you can use a hard rock. As I stated previously, you can use a hard rock on this, and like chert or flint, and you can strike the back of this, your spine, is with that hard rock, and it'll drive sparks down into something like char cloth or charred punk wood, things like that. So that's why a knife, I just believe a knife is more versatile. It's the most versatile tool, especially for me in my area. Since all of these examples are fixed blade knives, and 2 of them are full tang, so these are just objectively stronger, more durable knives. It's going to be harder to break a full tang knife than it will a partial tang. That doesn't mean these knives are fragile. These are also very durable knives. But having a good belt knife is really important, especially when it is your only cutting tool. Now, if you want to carry something like an axe, or you want to carry something like a machete, that's totally up to you. So my next recommendation, especially when you're talking about, these are emergency items. The reason why I don't have a ferro rod here and I have these UCO Stormproof Matches is because these are easy for virtually anyone to use. Yes, you should know how to use your tools. If you want to carry a ferro rod, make sure that you know how to use it. But something like this, these are instant flames. So they're instant gratification. As soon as you strike this, and I picked the Stormproof Matches because these will light in the rain, they'll light in snow, they'll light in virtually any condition. So you have instant flame, and especially if you have your tender bundle correctly built, and you have your finer material with you, so you know your pencil size or smaller twigs, so you have like a twig bundle, or you could have your fire lay set up. You have instant gratification with this. A Bic lighter is another thing. I didn't pick a Bic lighter because of the simple fact that if they get wet and it gets really cold, sometimes they can fail. Yes, they can be dried out, and yes, you can keep them close to your body to keep them warm, but UCO Stormproof Matches, especially a whole container of these, they don't weigh anything, it doesn't take up a lot of room, and you have the ability to use these, and it's instant flame, which it would help the vast majority of people get a fire started easier than something like a ferro rod would. And remember, fire is probably your best source in general. Fire is a force multiplier. You have warmth, you have water purification, you have signaling, you have just the morale of sitting next to a fire can really boost your mental capacity and your ability to make decisions correctly by just relaxing next to a fire, because it's keeping you warm, and you can dry out your clothing. The smoke can keep the bugs away, especially it can kill if you stand over the fire. You get that smoke on you that kills body odor, bacteria. It can help with your foot health. I mean, fire is honestly king when you're talking about in the woods. So having something like Stormproof Matches helps a lot of people, or would be more advantageous for most people to start a fire than having something like a ferro rod or a flint and steel, or more technical tools, a more technical item that a vast majority of people are not going to be able to use. Most people can start a fire with a lighter, especially if you have just a basic understanding of natural tinder. Another item, the reason why I don't have like a bush pot or my canteen and stainless steel canteen and cup, or my stainless steel canteen and bottle, this allows me to filter water on the fly and carry it with me over distance. I don't have to stop, start a fire, boil water. All I have to do is open this up. All I have to do is open this up, pull this out, and now fill this up, put this back down. It filters in, and now I have potable water that I can carry with me over distance. And this will filter out giardia, cryptosporidium, viruses, even chemicals. So the reason why I chose this over something like a stainless steel cup and bottle, or a stainless steel bottle or a bush pot or something like that is because this is more versatile and this is more useful in the short term, because I'm not worried about weeks or months down the road when this filter might fail. I'm worried about the short term, the now, getting water that I can drink. Also, if you're in a really hot, humid environment like Florida, thankfully we've been getting some decent weather, like it's in the low 70s this morning. But if you're in a really hot, humid environment, sometimes when you boil water, it can take a long time to actually cool down enough to make it drinkable. Also, who wants to drink hot water when you're in a situation outside in the woods and it's 100 degrees with 80% humidity? Nobody wants to drink really hot water in a hot, humid environment. So just grabbing this right out of a lake or a pond or a spring or wherever you're at, a river, you can take this, put this right down into the water source, and now you're ready to drink. So having that, and remember, water is the most important thing that you can have next to fire when you're out in a survival situation. Obviously, shelter is really important too, especially if you are in a situation where you have unexpected weather or it's a really hot environment or a really cold environment. So those are the three priorities. You have shelter, water, fire. Those are all, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in that order, but those are going to be your three priorities. When you're talking about water, you're talking about hydration. You can use it for cooking, you can use it for sanitation, you can use it for a multitude of different things. Just like fire and your knife, these are all multifunctional items that have a lot of versatility and being able to use an item like this, you can even use this for medical. So having the ability to disinfect water is really important. So let's kind of recap here. Remember, be able to improvise, be able to stay calm under pressure, having bushcraft and survival knowledge. Bushcraft is not just something fun to go do in the woods. A lot of these skills that you build and you practice when you're out practicing bushcraft, they're real world skills that you can use to stay alive if anything were to ever happen, whether you were caught in an emergency, SHTF, grid down, whatever situation you want to practice for. Those skills will help you. Bushcraft knowledge is really important. Gear obviously helps, but the skills themselves are what truly keeps you alive. I want to keep reiterating that you need to have the skills to use the tools that you carry. I want you guys to practice. That's why I make these videos where about talking about minimalistic items, talking about bushcraft, talking about survival, building kits and things like that. That's why I do these videos where I have like my bushcraft series and all that kind of stuff, survival series, trapping, all that kind of stuff. I do those videos so you guys can get out and put in the dirt time and know how to use the skills. If you guys had to survive in a 72-hour situation, so 3 days, what 3 items would you guys choose? Would it be what kind of cutting tool? What kind of fire item? Would you carry shelter? Would you carry a stainless steel bottle or a cup? Would you carry a water filtration system like the GRAYL or maybe something different? Just go ahead and drop those in the comments. Let me know what you guys would carry with you. Also, remember to like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends and family. I'll put a link to all these items down in the description, so if you guys want to go look those, you guys don't have to look those items up. You guys can go to those items directly and buy them if you're interested. Remember to be safe, stay dangerous, and I'll catch you on the next one.